Now, obviously, I love the concept of Amy's character having the 6 core memories that she's holding on to throughout the whole film. And I was thinking about this because I started thinking about what my core memories were. Like, thinking back to like moments that I can replay in my brain. Can you think back to like a happy moment in your childhood that kind of like is still vividly can play in your brain, kind of like it does in the ball of the movie?
The silly one.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Yeah.
No, I can remember when my dad gave me a bath and put me to bed with my shoes on.
Wait, and you were in the bath with your shoes on?
Yes. My mom left me with him. And I can remember going to bed thinking, okay, I got my shoes on. I'm ready to go in the morning.
Is this serious?
Yes.
Of course it is. We can't make, we're like in a prisoner of war camp. We can't make stuff up.
Can't make that.
We don't have that much creativity at this point.
And for you, a memory that you can think back on that was like kind of a core memory that you can kind of vividly see again?
Wow.
In Silver Spring, maybe?
Yeah, I know, in Silver Spring. Wow. You know what? Sadly, I'll tell you one that comes back immediately. I went to my mother couldn't cook, and I hope none of this gets out to her. Oh, this will. She'll find this. Yeah. But my mother couldn't cook, and so I was studying for my bar mitzvah stuff, and they built the first Burger King in the area, and we stopped there for the first Whopper I ever had. We all ought to get money for this, but at that time they had real bread, and it was a real roll, and it was literally really one of the greatest moments of my life. I mean, it was like if you were for the first time that I ever had gourmet food. Yeah. It was the equivalent of it. I mean, it really does come back.
Now that you mention that, I swear, my mom and dad and my brother and I used to get in the car and we went to McDonald's, and it was about 15 miles away.
Wow.
Because it was the first McDonald's, but every Sunday we would go there.
Well,
and it was a really good, happy memory. So thank you you really did bring that up. Yeah.
Can you think back to one of your fondest earlier memories, a core memory in your brain that always kind of replays in your brain sometimes when you were a young kid?
Well, it's interesting, like, the core memories can be big and small, right? There can be like career core memories of work, and there can be personal core memories of like sledding, like I used to go sledding with my grandfather made us this beautiful sled, like this really cool, then he painted our names on it, and I just have like very vivid like East Coast memories of that. But then your other memory can be something really like razzle dazzle and big. It's such interesting exercise to think about. What are, like, let's say I had a container and there were 6 memories and I didn't want them to go away. What would they be? It's just like this film keeps making you think about that kind of stuff. And if you're a parent, you can ask your kid that, and they, I asked my kid like about what are your core memories, and the stuff that he said was like awesome, because it's big and small.
Yeah, I think that I had a couple. One memory that I remember so well is when I was mastered Heart and Soul on the piano, and that was a big deal for my parents. I'm terribly musical, I couldn't do that, but I've always wanted to please my parents, and that was a nice moment for me.
That's pretty cool.
I've not since then played anything at all. Yeah, I'm terrible. Yeah.
And for you, Mr. Hader?
I remember bringing my younger sister home, Katie. Like, I remember my parents bringing the baby home. That was really exciting. Just having I was like 4, and just being like, and my mom and dad going, "This is your sister," and that was fun.
I was thinking about, obviously you've played a lot of characters in your career, but it's interesting to kind of go in the mind of one of those people and kind of see how the emotions work. Like your Park and Rec character, like how would you think her mind would look if we were to like peek inside like this?
Well, I would say that people would assume that Leslie Knope is fueled by joy, which she is, but I would say anger is right next to that, because anyone that believes in like social change and social justice have to have a certain amount of anger and like at the status quo. They like have to be like feel like people aren't getting their due, and that's why anger works well. So I think anger and joy are pretty close.
You're like, I want to be in Stefan's brain this way. How would, like, what would be going on in his head? Like,
I
what,
think it's just mush. I don't think there's anything going on in there.
Nothing.
I think he's probably clinically dead. Yeah.
Nothing's happening in there.
Nothing's happening.
But like, if we were a character from The Office, like, what do you think's happening within her mind if we were to kind of like go inside?
I actually think that she's ruled only by disgust.
Right.
In The Office, Kelly, I think there's just like 5 little disgusts who are running inside of her head.
Now, I love the idea of this film because we're like dealing with an 11-year-old girl and we're watching her as she grows up. We see the parents and how they're affected by her emotional states. I'm wondering for you as a mom playing this role in the movie now and you leave it and now you're doing press for it, how did this change your outlook on your own children?
It's
and
so
looking at
deep.
them?
It's truly deep because what this film gives me is like a tool, a way to talk to my boys about how they're feeling. When you're a parent, you can't sit your kid down and be like, how are you feeling? And they don't tell you. You know, it's not like, it doesn't work like that. So they are able to talk and express how they feel by using these characters. So like, they'll say like, I feel like sadness today, or I kind of acted like anger at school today, or whatever it is.
They're saying this to you?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's really cool. Again, it's a way for them to, to express. I mean, they're young. They're 6 and 4, so they don't have the vocabulary, the language yet to like really express it. But these characters do that for them, which is really cool. And they laugh at how like we'll say like, isn't it funny how fear is always afraid that something bad's going to happen, and we laugh, and then you can just kind of sneaky parent move where you're like, what are you afraid of? And they maybe answer, they maybe don't, and you just feel like you just got one little thing out of them for the day.
Have you had a moment where your sons were sad about something and you became joy in the moment and kind of try to like play with their minds and make them become happy? Like, can you think of a specific moment like that?
Well, what's really cool is Joy does that the whole film, right? She's trying to like skip over the bad feelings and make everything good.
Yeah.
And as a parent, you do that automatically all the time. You don't want your child to be in pain, so you're just like, it's good, it's fine, everything's gonna be fine. But everything's not fine. And life you don't always get what you want. It's like that's the message of the film is it's okay to be sad, and like life is complicated and always changing, and like don't deny your child that narrative. Like they can handle it. Like teaching your kid to be flexible and have feelings is more important than them being happy all the time.
How did it affect you as a father? Like, how differently do you look at your own children now after playing a role like this?
I didn't really think of it that way. I mean, the movie is based on Pete's relationship with his daughter and them growing up. I mean, my kids are still really young, so I mean, to be honest, I watched it, and it was more, we went to the screening with the cast, and it was a small screening. My wife and I mostly just talked about how we were when we were that age, and then thinking of our kids, and gosh, it's going to get to that point, but not really. To be, I still have a good 10, 15 years before I start worrying about this.
Now, what I find fascinating about filmmaking is with animated films, a lot of the times you're not in the room with the person, but you have a lot of scenes with sadness, Phyllis.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, did you get to shoot anything together? And is there a specific moment you can point out in the film where you did get kind of to work together and voice things together?
We did. Sadness and I got, Phyllis Smith and I got to be in the same room together for a couple of scenes. A lot of the scenes where we're on the road together, trying to get back to headquarters, we were in the room together, which is great because it's all just like timing, and I'm looking at you and we can talk and we can look at each other, and it makes a huge difference for a comedy especially. But I didn't really get to be in the room with anybody else. But yeah, it was a rare treat because in animation, as you know, you don't get to do that a lot.
I'm wondering, did you get to shoot any of your scenes together at all?
No.
And if not, what are you hearing? Does Pete give you their dialogue, or do you hear their lines in your headphones?
No, you don't hear anything. No,
Really?
it's just a script, and your lines are in bold, and you just go line by line. So it's kind of, if we're having a conversation, you do 8 different reads on, hey guys, how's it going? You do it 8, or do it a couple of different times. And then they might say, hey, Mindy already recorded this, and the way she did it was kind of thrown away, so if you would respond kind of in that way. But it's amazing the way all animated things go, not just these guys, but everybody, that you do so many different reads, and then they just find the right reads and match them up together, and it feels like a seamless conversation.
Obviously, when you're dealing with movies, you have to emotionally get into the character, obviously the mindset of the person. And you're playing sadness, so you're relatively sad almost the entire film. So I'm wondering, when you film your moments, when you do your voice, and the camera cuts, and Pete's like, okay, we're done doing this, can you walk out and come back to your happy self immediately, or does it take a second to kind of?
Just a second.
Yeah.
I'm not that deep. And I'm back.
So you just do the voice, and then
She's back.
just back. That's awesome. And for you, in regards to like,
Same. I mean, I literally have done anger so much that it's like a faucet. You could drop me out of a plane, and I could hit the ground, and immediately just start yelling, and then stop it in a second, and to the point where not only I've had somebody do it where they took my blood pressure and they got me angry and then would take it. And my blood pressure goes back to normal almost immediately.
Really?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, everybody does. I have perfect blood pressure. Everything else is rotting. My blood pressure is
Everything else is
spectacular.
I was thinking about all the emotions in the movie, and obviously anger was interesting because to me it was because there's so many characters in the history of movies that are so angry. And I was thinking like where you might be able to pop up, maybe like maybe you're in the Hulk somewhere. Like where else do you think anger would be in the history of like Hulk? I think would be fun to watch him inside the Hulk mind.
I know. It's really, in terms of anger, God.
The Notebook.
Let's get this done. Someone get Nicholas Sparks on the phone.
Oh, boy, that's good.
That's it.
Yeah, really.
No wonder why you were so good on The Office. That's amazing. Obviously you have a lot of scenes where you kind of have to like scream a lot and get angry. Are you literally sitting there behind that microphone just screaming all day long to do those takes, or do they just use the same one for every time?
There was a certain amount of screaming. There was not a lot. I'll tell you what was not. It wasn't so much in the film. We kind of modulate. They knew, and I know how to modulate that.
Yeah.
But I had to do I'm in the Disney game now.
Yeah.
Did you do the Disney
Yes, I
game?
liked
yeah.
it.
Yeah, well, you liked it. I was like in anger prison, and it was like 40 pages.
Oh yeah, it was 40 pages.
And I did the first, I did about 20 of them, and I was literally, and then I have to go perform the next night, and I was like, when they were coming back for me to do it again, I'm going, okay, here's what we're doing. We're doing 10 pages at a time, because it was literally yell, now yell louder, now yell louder, and it was just more than I could bear.